Hey, welcome to the overview module of the Digiphoto Quick Start Guide. The purpose of this module is to provide an overview of the content and concepts within the Quick Start Guide. And we'll review how the information in the guide is organized so it's easy to understand how everything works together to help you have some fun with your digital photography and make some great images along the way. So let's get started. A great place to start is with ourselves. Somewhere along the line, we come up with the idea that we want a camera or we need a camera because we want to photograph something. And for each of us, we fill in the blank. And this kind of inspiration that drives us to make photographs is what we call vision. And we're going to be discussing vision throughout this guide, and we will determine how to develop vision and execute vision along the way. And of course, one of the ways that we execute vision is to have a camera, and we have a lot of options out there today of different cameras to choose from. And so if you're purchasing a camera or upgrading your camera or already have one, we're going to be discussing some of the options and advantages and disadvantages of the types of cameras out there. And then of course you need a computer in order to view your images after you've transferred them from your camera, and some software along the way as well to help you edit, manipulate, and organize these images that are stored on your computer. And all of the technical aspects of working with the computer and the software and your camera, we classify that as technical skills. And the technical skills help us set our cameras and our computers in ways that help us represent our vision. And of course, the goal for all of this is to create compelling images that we can share with our friends or family. And we create these compelling images by exercising some aesthetic skills that we develop along the way. So the ability to frame your subject and organize your photographic frame in a pleasing way falls under the category of aesthetic skills. And together, all of these technical and aesthetic skills working together help us to represent our vision. So how does that happen, and what do we do? Well, you start with a vision, and the vision really is the desire to express a feeling or to document an event or tell a story. And the technical skills that help us do this relate to camera skills, computer skills, such as, well, what is depth of field, or how does the shutter speed work? And these different skills can represent an image in different ways, and we'll be talking about that more as we move forward. Of course, the aesthetic skills are related to composing the image within the frame, image editing in the software, or image manipulation. And as you can see, these circles here, they overlap at a certain point. And that point right there, that they do overlap, is the goal that we are trying to achieve, which is to have our Digiphoto experience be guided by and supported by the ability for us to take all of our skills and to use them together to help us create our vision. And the whole process of learning all about these different skills and practicing them, we organize under what's called a learning spiral, because the process starts, and of course we all start somewhere, with learning the basic skills. And we practice those skills, and then we evaluate the work that we have done to determine whether or not we have been successful in the skills that we are working on. Now, that process of learning skills, practicing them, and reviewing the work is really the basis for the entire learning process of the digital photography experience. And that process is repeated over and over again. But what happens is that as we reach a different point in our photographic experience, we can look back to determine whether or not we are progressing in a direction that we want to, and if we are in fact developing and fine-tuning our skills in a way that's appropriate for the work that we're doing. And as we continue to do that throughout our photographic life, we gain more experience, and we have a greater understanding of the work that we have done in the past, and we can actually see the progress as we evolve through this spiral and evaluate our work along the way as we learn new skills. Now, the whole process of selecting a subject, we all have different subjects that we might be interested in. We start by picking a subject as soon as we pick up our camera and point it somewhere. And then when we pull the trigger, after setting up the camera the way we want, we are in effect expressing our vision of that particular subject. And how that works is pretty straightforward. We pick a subject as we've described, and there are any one of a number of subjects: food, photography, architecture, landscape. And in this example, we'll just use a motorcycle as an example. So we've picked a subject And we've represented the subject on our photographic frame as what we would call a document because it looks like a motorcycle. So it is a real-world representation of an object. At the other end of the spectrum, we might have the representation of that motorcycle from the standpoint of a creative expression. Now, what might that look like? Well, here is the same motorcycle, but now through using a number of different techniques, we've represented that image in a different way. It's a more creative representation of the image versus a document of the image. And we as photographers will place ourselves anywhere along this continuum. One day we may be closer to the creative expression side, others we may be more documentary, and it may change during one session of our photographic experience. The point is that we are knowledgeably working with our camera in order to take whatever subject it is that we have determined and through a vision set our camera in a way that it represents what we're trying to express, and that equals our image. To do this, we need to learn about the different buttons and the different settings that our camera is capable of so that we can use them together in order to capture the image the way we want to capture it. And what's the best way to do this? Well, really, we get out there and practice the skills that we talk about throughout the guide. Pick a subject. Don't worry about what the subject is. We shoot in different lighting conditions. Avoid trying to make a prize-winning photo right now. Better just to practice the basics. Take lots of images. And remember to have fun with your digital photography. Stay loose and be creative.